Welcome back to OmniFoot TV. This is Euro Stormer speaking, and today's video is about Rudy Garcia becoming Napoli's new manager. This is the worst piece of news I could have ever seen today. This is not something I wanted to make a video about. I thought there would be much more exciting topics to make videos about. But then this happened. Now let's provide some context to the situation, okay? You have a club that's just won its first league title. One that is present in Europe's top 5 leagues. For the first time in 30 years. They've parted ways with their manager, whose relationship with the club completely fell apart, whose relationship with the club president completely fell apart, which is equally as important because De Laurentiis is quite the character in Europe. And now they've managed to bring in someone who doesn't fit the bill, has next to no potential to do just as well as his predecessor, which is equally as important. And if he did have the potential to do just as well, if he had a bit of flexibility to him, if there was something more, if there was more than meets the eye, as they say, I'd be the first to say it. But there isn't. This is a travesty. This makes no sense. This is horrible. Garcia, to provide more context to the situation, was managing in the SPL. No, not the Scottish League, the Saudi Pro League. He managed Al Nassr. He managed the club for only 22 league games. And he was sacked. He didn't leave via mutual consent. They didn't agree to part ways. He was sacked. And one of the biggest reasons behind that was the fact that the players didn't buy into his training methods. And that does not bode well. Because I can get a top-tier manager going to a club in a different country in Europe, within the top 5 leagues. And the best example I can give you is Ancelotti moving to Bayern and the players not necessarily buying into the way he would train them. That's okay. It's never really smooth sailing. It's not as simple as people would think sometimes. But you have someone like Rudy Garcia, who's never managed in Italy before, which is equally as important a point to state, who prior to moving to Saudi Arabia managed Lyon. Took them, a little far in the Champions League, but that's as far as he did. That's as far as he went with them. That's as far as they could do. And now he's going to Italy. Not only that, to the champions. And they are expected to do just as well as they did with their predecessor. This screams inconsistency in a way that I don't think I've seen before. This isn't necessarily an example I can give you of inconsistency that can be matched by a club in the same context, having just won a league title. But I've seen this kind of thing pulled by clubs for, based on my knowledge, at least based on what I've seen, clubs in the Premier League who were pushing up the table and tried to maintain their momentum, but started falling back down. Mid-table clubs. Clubs that don't warrant much of, don't warrant a sense of competition. They don't try to go for the title. They just want to survive. This is that kind of move. You don't win a league title and hire someone with next to no credibility, someone who left the continent entirely to manage in a lesser league, and then you bring him in to your league where he's never managed before to take over the champions. To take over the champions and manage to maintain the same momentum. It does not work that way. The man is inflexible. That's another point. He's extremely tactically inflexible. Spalletti was different. At least think to buy someone or to bring someone in. Excuse me, not buy someone. He's not a player. Excuse me once again. At least think to bring in a manager who is of the same mold. A manager who has that potential to do well. Maybe even a young manager who isn't necessarily on the radar right now. Or maybe someone who's managing in a neighboring country who at least has some gravitas, who brings with him a certain kind of magnitude, commands a certain kind of respect, bears with him a certain kind of credibility. But no, let's bring in a manager who's just been sacked months ago in the Saudi Pro League. I don't know where this is going to take the club, but it's obviously not going to go upwards. If this is what Napoli could achieve at their peak, which I really didn't want to be the case, this is not going to go so well. They have players with much more potential than they're being given credit for because of the appointment of this manager. The context here is that these players need the right kind of management to further flourish. They're not going to get that with Garcia. And you know, I wish that this whole video turns out to be a farce. I really hope I'm wrong here, but I just can't see a world where this works. I can't see an alternate dimension, a different timeline where this actually works. He didn't do much to earn this job. And it feels as though the club were out of options. The only reason I feel like this happened is because the club seemed to be out of options. You have someone like Nagelsmann on the market. I don't think Napoli would be able to afford bringing Nagelsmann in. I don't think he would be able to handle or deal with De Laurentiis, nor would he want to. But it's an option. It's someone you could have at least tried to go for. If I were to wake up today, for example, check The Athletic, and just, saw a piece of news, an article, a headline, that Napoli had failed to go in for Nagelsmann, who is currently a free agent, I would have thought to myself, hey, at least they're trying to push up a little. But no. No. God forbid. This is a side that just won the league, and they're playing their cards like a mid-table side. I'm not even sure this is going to guarantee them European places next season. I'm not sure what this means for some of their best players. And I'm not sure what this means for their fan base either. I don't see this working. And that's the only thing I'm going to leave you guys with. Thank you for tuning into this video. If you agree with me, if you have the same frustrations, if you are a Napoli fan, please let me know what you think in the comment section below. Leave a like on the video. And stay tuned for more content. Thank you for tuning in once again, and I will see you next time the whistle blows.